If you're new here, thank you so much for joining us. Now, today's vlog is all about dopamine dressing and what are the dopamine colors? Dopamine colors are vibrant, stimulating hues which can trigger the release of dopamine in the brain. And as we would have touched upon it in our previous vlog, the release of dopamine is associated with happiness and feelings of motivation. We know that these colors typically tend to be bright and vibrant. They can also be softer hues, like shades of pastels. Like, for example, what I'm wearing today, that's a perfect example of a dopamine dressing. And I purposely opted to wear this not just for the video, but really just in general. That's how I like to dress. It's very personal. It's very much based on a feeling, and on my mood upon in that day, in that given moment, or how I feel in the morning when I wake up. So again, just based on my feelings, on my emotions, or how I want to feel. I may purposely wear a given fabric or a given color, depending on if I want to kind of switch gears with my mental state, you know? And so today I just felt like wearing this beautiful light pink pastel hue. Now, what's great about the pastel hues, which can also be included as dopamine dressing, they often evoke a sense of more, I would say, tranquility and joy, as opposed to the vibrant, bold colors. So again, it just depends on your mood. So examples of hues or colors could be like an electric blue. So like I know recently we had an awesome trend which was like a metallic blue jean or pants that just had like that beautiful intense metallic color like metallic pink or silvers, and really, really love that trend. It could be bold reds, zesty yellows, all the way down to our pastels, like light pinks, like we just said, like this top, for example. Light blues, mint greens, turquoise. So we have a few key aspects when it comes to dopamine colors. The first one being that the colors are bright and bold. Next, we have calming and uplifting. Then we have dynamic contrasts. Next is personal connection. And finally, a versatile use. Now, when it comes to bold colors, you're going to want to be picking colors such as, like, for example, bright oranges, yellows, bold reds, because all of those colors are really going to incite qualities of energy and motivation for you. Now, the next point in terms of the colors was all about calming and uplifting. Those have to do with the hues that are more lighter on the scale, that have to do with the pastel hues. Think about those Easter colors, right? The light yellows, light blues, mint greens, lilacs, light pinks. Those are personally my favorite colors, my favorite color palette. Always has been. Absolutely. Like, as you can tell, obviously, I would wear those every day. And those really evoke a sense of tranquility, calmness, and joy. Now, the next one up was to do with dynamic contrasts. That's all to do with dressing with visually um, bold colors that are contrasting with one another. So, say you had a top with a bold color, say bright red, and then bright yellow jeans, bright yellow trousers, for example, just to give you an idea, right? So that's really to create a contrasting or a dynamic visual appeal, um, that'll really be stimulating and pleasing to the eye. The next point we mentioned was all about personal connection. And I know that we briefly touched upon that a little bit previously when I was talking about how ultimately it is really a personal choice. And the whole experience of experimenting with dopamine dressing, right? Because it should be an experience that is personal to you, um, is very subjective. So, for example, what is a calming color to me may not be necessarily the same calming hue or color to somebody else. Again, it's very subjective, and that is okay because, as we said, it's an entirely personal experience. It's not a practice or an activity that should be up for debate or or judgment because it is so personal. Another example of this point being the personal connection. Really, if I just think about, say, for example, myself, when I like to wear, say, a tracksuit on any given day, for me personally, the reason I really love wearing top, besides the obvious that it's so comfortable, is I'll be very picky and selective with the tracksuits that I'll wear and purchase. It's all about the fabric and the fit because obviously the point of it is to be comfortable. So on that day that I'll feel, I don't know, say for example, if I have the blues a little bit more than usual, or for whatever reason, I just want to feel like I'm getting like this huge warm hug, I'll opt for my tracksuit because I know that the fabric is so incredibly soft. It feels like butter on your skin. So it's that sense of comfort and warmth that it has on my skin. So again, it's very subjective. I wouldn't expect anyone else to necessarily think or agree with that. Everybody's different, right? And that's okay. Now, for the last point of versatile use, dopamine color or the concept of dopamine colors can be incorporated into various aspects of design. So, for instance, not only fashion, but from marketing materials all the way down to interior decor. Now, let's go through a few examples of dopamine colors and their effects. Now, the first color is red. Now, wearing the color red can induce feelings of excitement, passion, and energy. Now, the next color is yellow. This color can induce feelings of optimism, of warmth, and happiness. Next up, we have orange. This color can stimulate feelings of vitality and enthusiasm. Our next color, being green, has a calming and refreshing effect, especially when it's paired with undertones of yellow. Now, the next color we have is pink. Now, that one is definitely an all time favorite of mine. And that's interesting because it can really go both ways. So it can really range from one extreme to the other depending on the hue and the shade of the pink that you choose to wear. So, if for instance you chose to wear a very bright, bold, or even like all the way to a neon pink, now that would incite a sensation of playfulness, of vibrancy, right? As opposed to if you went all the way down to a shade that I'm wearing right now, for instance, a pastel or a very light pink, that would definitely have a completely contrasting effect of softness and induce a sensation of calmness. With our last example of a color, we're looking at the color blue. Now, blue can really be similarly to pink, can go both ways from one extreme to the other, right? It can be either very energizing or very calming. So, depending on the shade, if you went, for example, with an electric blue color, obviously that'll be very energizing, as opposed to a light blue or pastel blue that would create more of a sense of serenity, for example. And there you have it, guys. I hope you've enjoyed and you've learned a thing or two and will help you next time you need to get dressed.